Russia has accused Ukraine of orchestrating a 9/11-style drone attack on the city of Kazan, framing the incident as an act of desperation in response to Moscow's recent military successes and the widely publicized October BRICS summit. The attack involved 8 drones targeting residential areas and critical infrastructure within the city, causing significant property damage but, notably, no casualties. Moscow has labeled the incident a terrorist act, using it to reinforce its narrative that Ukraine is engaging in unlawful and reckless behavior, while simultaneously condemning what it perceives as the West's silent complicity. This escalation marks one of the boldest Ukrainian strikes on Russian territory in the ongoing conflict. The drones, reportedly equipped with explosives, hit high-rise residential buildings and public infrastructure, triggering fires and widespread panic. Social media footage from Kazan residents captured the chaotic aftermath, with flames engulfing parts of buildings, shattered windows, and emergency responders scrambling to contain the situation. Though there were no direct fatalities, the psychological toll on civilians has been considerable, with many residents expressing fear over the apparent inability of Russian air defenses to prevent such attacks. Russia's official response has been swift and emphatic. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov characterized the attack as an egregious act of terrorism designed to target civilians and destabilize the nation. He further accused Ukraine of acting out of desperation following setbacks on the battlefield and attempting to distract from its internal struggles. The Kremlin has also criticized Western nations, particularly the United States and NATO allies, for their lack of condemnation, alleging that their silence emboldens Ukraine to engage in such provocative actions. The timing of the attack is critical and adds layers of complexity to its interpretation. Coming on the heels of Russia's intensified military campaigns in Ukraine and the symbolic success of the October BRICS summit, Moscow views the strike as an attempt to undermine its global image and domestic stability. The BRICS summit, which highlighted Russia's growing alliances with nations such as China, India, Brazil, and South Africa, was hailed by Russian officials as a significant diplomatic win. The drone attack, in this context, is being portrayed as a deliberate effort by Kiev to disrupt the positive momentum and provoke chaos within Russian borders. For Ukraine, the drone strike represents an evolution in its strategy of asymmetrical warfare. Faced with limited conventional resources compared to Russia's military might, Ukraine has increasingly turned to innovative and disruptive tactics, including the use of drones for targeted strikes. Such operations serve multiple objectives. They demonstrate Kiev's ability to penetrate deep into Russian territory, disrupt the narrative of Russian invulnerability, and divert resources away from the front line by forcing Moscow to bolster its domestic defenses. However, these actions come with significant risks. By targeting residential areas, Ukraine risks alienating its international allies, many of whom have expressed concerns about the potential for escalation and the targeting of civilians. While Ukraine has not officially claimed responsibility for the Kazan attack, its broader strategy of utilizing drones has raised ethical and legal questions about the conduct of warfare in densely populated areas. This incident, in particular, underscores the growing challenge of distinguishing between military and civilian targets in modern conflicts. The incident has also highlighted vulnerabilities in Russia's air defense systems, a point that has not gone unnoticed by military analysts. Despite significant investment in cutting-edge anti-aircraft technologies, including the S-400 and Panzer systems, the drones were able to evade detection and strike their targets. This failure has sparked criticism within Russia about the effectiveness of its defensive measures, prompting calls for greater investment in counter-drone technologies and increased vigilance along its borders. Domestically, the attack has added to the pressures facing Russian President Vladimir Putin. While the Kremlin has maintained a narrative of control and resilience, incidents like the Kazan drone strike expose cracks in the facade of stability. For many Russian citizens, the attack is a stark reminder that the war, which the government has largely framed as a distant and controlled operation, can reach their doorsteps. This shift in perception could have profound implications for public support of the ongoing conflict. Internationally, the incident has further complicated an already tense geopolitical landscape. Russia has used the attack as an opportunity to reinforce its accusations against the West, claiming that Ukraine's actions are enabled by Western military aid and intelligence support. Moscow has argued that the drone technology used in the strike was likely supplied or facilitated by NATO allies, an allegation that Western nations have consistently denied. This rhetoric serves to justify Russia's continued aggression in Ukraine while seeking to sow divisions among Ukraine's international backers. At the same time, the attack raises questions about the future trajectory of the conflict. As both sides escalate their tactics, the risk of broader regional involvement grows. For Russia, the Kazan incident may prompt harsher retaliatory measures, including intensified strikes on Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. For Ukraine, the success of such operations could encourage further cross-border incursions, albeit at the cost of potential international backlash. The psychological impact of the attack on the residents of Kazan cannot be overstated. For many, the strike represents a new and unsettling phase of the conflict, where even cities far from the front lines are no longer safe. This shift has prompted discussions about the adequacy of emergency preparedness and the role of civilians in a protracted conflict. Local authorities in Kazan have begun implementing stricter security measures, including increased surveillance and public awareness campaigns, in an effort to reassure residents and prevent future incidents. In the broader context of the Ukraine-Russia war, the Kazan drone strike exemplifies the shifting dynamics of modern warfare. As technology evolves, the lines between combat zones and civilian spaces continue to blur, raising difficult questions about accountability, proportionality, and the rules of engagement. For the international community, the incident serves as a stark reminder of the urgent need for diplomatic solutions to prevent further escalation and mitigate the human cost of the conflict. Ultimately, the Kazan attack underscores the deeply entrenched nature of the Ukraine-Russia conflict and the challenges of achieving a resolution. While both sides continue to pursue strategies aimed at weakening their opponent, the cost to civilians, whether in Ukraine or Russia, remains devastating. As the war enters yet another phase of escalation, the need for dialogue and de-escalation becomes ever more critical, even as the prospects for such negotiations appear increasingly remote.